So here's what I want you guys to do, right? The Ravens are getting ready to take on the Minnesota Vikings this week. And what I want you to do is call your shot in the comments. Who is going to score a touchdown from this game? I don't care if it's from the Ravens. I don't care if it's from the Vikings. Give me your anytime touchdown scorer down below in the comment section right now. And don't forget to like this video. This is another episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Well, didn't run my intro. That's embarrassing. Again, another episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Like the video, guys. What is going on, guys? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you might be listening to this. This is your host, Sutton Def from the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, and you are listening to Quiet Storm Sports. And this is live. We are live right now. Shout out to everybody who is watching live right now. If you're not watching live right now and you're part of the hashtag replay gang, shout out to you. Again, like I said at the top of the show, leave it down below. Who do you think is going to score a touchdown in this Ravens versus Vikings game? I want to know. I always like to say, if I was a betting man, guess what? I am a betting man, right? So give me an anytime touchdown scorer. I got some promos on Underdog Fantasy. I want to use them. I want to let the Rain Gang help me. So, but we got a couple of things to get into today, guys. Been a little over what, maybe 20 hours or something like that since me and Alex went live for our official preview episode of the Minnesota versus Baltimore game. Make sure you go check that out if you haven't seen it already. But the things that I want to get into on this one, I do want to review Thursday Night Football that happened last night. I personally was just disgusted by the product that I saw put on display last night. Not a good night for the NFL. Not a good night for Amazon Prime. Damn sure not a good night for the Las Vegas Raiders, who could have won that game. Right? Could have held on to their season by just a thread, right? Bo Nix turning the football over. It was just an ugly, sloppy game. I hated it. Andre, what's up? Barth and Gangland, what's going on, man? Spiritual Word says you late, bro. I'm a little late, about 4 minutes late. You guys know how I do. Ashley, what's going on, Ashley? Says, hey, Sutton, happy Purple Friday. Andre said that game was absolute trash. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I'm gonna go through some of the stats here for you guys. Again, the game ended 10-7. Broncos beat the Raiders 10-7 at home to advance to 8-2 on the season. They remain first in the AFC West. That is over the Chargers and the Chiefs. So I mean, the AFC West, man, is looking like they're gonna send. If the Chargers can recover from losing Joe Alt, right, and they can continue to win games, the AFC West might send 3 teams to the playoffs, right? And you might be thinking, okay, well, what does that mean for this Baltimore Ravens team? Well, it means one thing. It means that you better win the North or you're not going to the playoffs. That's what it sounds like, right? When we talk about the margin of error for this Baltimore Ravens team, when you look at the rest of the AFC West, right? I mean, look at the rest of the AFC, rather. There are a lot of teams who are going to be fighting for that wild card spot, right? There's only, 3 of them? I believe there's only 3 of them, So it's just, you have to win the North, because that's the only way you're going to be guaranteed a shoo-in to the playoffs, right? Because, again, the AFC West, the Broncos can make it. The Chiefs are going to make it. The Chargers, again, if they get their act together, they can make it as well. But again, 10-7, the Broncos take this one. Bo Nix in this game, who I have been I've praised him in the past, right? Bo Nix. I actually like what I saw from Bo Nix, especially last year. However, Tila, one of our members in the chat, what's going on, Tila? Appreciate you for coming through. Always a big shout out to our members here at the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. But no, passing, Bo Nix, 16 for 28 in this one, 150 yards passing, 1 passing touchdown, 2 interceptions, 1 sack. He had 5 carries for -2 yards. And then rushing, J.K. Dobbins, old friend of the Baltimore Ravens, had 18 carries for 77 yards, 4.3 yards a carry. His longest carry was 13 yards. R.J. Harvey did not have himself a good game at all. 4 rushes for 9 yards and only had, 2 catches for 9 yards as well. So 18 total yards for R.J. Harvey. Other than that, man, the receivers, nothing special. Nothing special, man. Pat Bryant was their leading receiver with 1 catch for 43 yards, right? You had Troy Franklin, 5 catches for 40 yards. Cortland Sutton, shout out to him, 3 catches for 24 yards. Evan Ingram, who I have on my fantasy team, much to my chagrin, only had 2 catches for 12 yards, only got me 3 points in fantasy, so I might end up losing this week, guys. But yeah, that was on the Broncos side of the football. Really just honestly a piss poor performance offensively, right? Down the stretch of that game. And you said what happened to Brock Bowers last night. Honestly, I don't know. He has 1 catch for 30-something yards in the first half, and then he just doesn't get any more catches after that. I get Geno was hurt. Maybe he was a little bit hindered in that regard, or maybe, the Broncos did a good job. Well, here's another thing. Broncos pass rush was getting home last night. And that's kind of like a broader lesson about this game, even though it was a shitty game. Don't get me wrong. 7 Thursday night football. You never want to see that first football game of the week. It's disappointing, to say the least. It's not a good appetizer for Sunday's slate of games, right? But yeah, I'll get into the pass rush in just a second here. What was I saying though? Las Vegas Raiders, Geno Smith, 16 for 26, 143 yards. He was hobbled throughout the game. No passing touchdowns, 1 interception, was sacked 6 times. 6 sacks. Let me actually look at the sacks. Who got the sacks for the Broncos last night? So you had Talanoa Hufanga, who's a good player. He got a sack last night. Nick Benito had 1.5 sacks. You had Malcolm Roach, who got himself a sack as well. Zach Allen got himself a sack from the interior of that D-line. Hey, man. What I know is this. I don't know too much, chat. I don't know too much. But what I do know is this. If your offense can only muster up 10 points and you win the game, I don't care if it's the Las Vegas Raiders. It's an NFL team. It's a professional team with talent on that roster. The Broncos gave up 7 points. They won that game by only scoring 10 points. Why? Because there were so many drives that were absolutely murdered by the Broncos pass rush. And what I'm really looking at right now, I'm really looking at this Ravens front office, and I'm thinking to myself, hey, look, these primetime games, I know you guys are tuned in. I know y'all are watching. I know you guys see how important, right? I know you guys see how paramount it is to be able to get after the quarterback. Now, I'm not just saying this for my health. It's not just a more salubrious option for the Ravens, philosophies, right? To go after premium positions like edge rusher or tackle or offensive line in general. But that's what I'm getting at here is that you got to be intentional about getting guys like Nick Benito, right? Guy's got 10 sacks on the season already. He's got 10 sacks on the season. He's got damn near just as many sacks as the entire Ravens roster, if we're not counting Dre Jones, newest Raven. He's got 10. The Ravens have 11 as a collective, right? But that's my thing, guys. That sort of thing, that pass rush, that defense, that travels into the playoffs. I'll tell you one thing. I feel sorry for whatever team has to play the Denver Broncos in that first round of the playoffs. I feel sorry for whatever team has to play them. And that's if they don't fuck around and win the AFC. Because the Colts. I don't think the Colts are going to run away with it. I feel like the Colts definitely drop a good amount of more games before the season ends, and you're looking at either Buffalo, New England, Kansas City if they go on like a really, really big run, and you're looking at Denver. We're sitting at 8-2, and I don't think that they're a good football team. Not in their totality. I don't. I really don't. I really don't. But their defense is damn good. Their pass rush is amazing. Even just the get off, right? The way that their outside linebackers, the way that a guy like a Nick Benito gets off the ball, right? It's in an instant. He's in the backfield instantly. I'm watching that game with so much envy in my heart last night. So much envy. Copious amounts of envy in my heart watching that game. Why? Because I couldn't even fathom. I couldn't even imagine the days of Terrell Suggs, right? Elvis Dumervil and all those guys back then who we had who could actually get after the passer. Made me feel away, man. Hurt my feelings a little bit because it's like, why can't we do that? So what I did, I went on my next gen stats on NFLpro.com, and I was trying to see like, okay, are the numbers for this Ravens pass rush really as bad as like it looks on screen? And newsflash, they are. I just talked about get off, right? Get off is literally how fast, since from when the ball is snapped, how fast do you get into the backfield? How long does it take? The Ravens have the slowest get off rate in the entire National Football League. So yeah, there's a reason why we have to bring Kyle Hamilton down to the box and he's rushing the passer. I was on a Vikings podcast yesterday. I was damn near embarrassed. To tell them that our best edge rusher is Kyle Hamilton. It's like, really, dude, a safety? That's your best edge rusher? That's the best you guys got? All right, cool, I guess, right? Slicer with the super chat donation, making it rain here on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. We appreciate you, brother. Dropping the 5-piece in the chat, says Sheba Dog saying, hey, you, greeting joyfully. Thank you, Slicer. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. But yeah, I this front office, especially this offseason, they've got their work cut out for them. On top of all of the, pending free agents and things like that, all the contract restructures and extensions that I'm sure are going to happen, you have to be intentional. If the Ravens don't win a Super Bowl this year, which is like, I'm still holding out my hope, of course, as a Ravens fan. But if I take off the purple glasses, I don't see it happening this year necessarily. Like, right? I mean, just being real with myself here. But if the Ravens don't win a Super Bowl, this is the offseason where it's like, okay, no more. If I'm Steve Bisciotti, Ravens owner, I'm telling Eric DeCosta, I'm telling John Harbaugh, okay, no more. Right? Like, go out and get my team. Again, I'm speaking for Steve Bisciotti right here. Go out, get my team a premium edge rusher. I don't give a fuck what it takes to get him. But make sure you land him, right? Make sure you get a guy who we could bank on having 10 to 15 sacks a season. Because, I mean, Kyle Van Noy had 12 and a half last year, only to be at, I think he's got maybe 1 this year so far. Missed a couple of games, sure. But I think he's still sitting at 1 or 1.5 sacks. What is that going to do in the playoffs? Nothing. I always say this. I tell Alex this all the time, guys. I say, look, if you don't have a guy who you're playing, when you're playing on let's say a 4 p.m. CBS game of the week window game, right? If you don't have a guy who, when the other team has 3rd and long, if Tony Romo isn't circling one of your outside linebackers on the screen and saying, hey, look, watch out for this guy, right? Like a Myles Garrett, like a TJ Watt, like a Trey Hendrickson, like a Nick Benito, guys like that. If you don't have a guy like that, I think you're just doing yourself a disservice, right? And I know, there's been swings that they've taken, barely, though, right? I mean, Mike Green, we'll see what he turns into. I think that Mike Green could be a very good developmental player. I think that next year will probably be his, I guess you could say, coming out party, if I had to guess. Because, again, my only thing about Mike Green, I've said it a million times, his size, right? I think he's a little bit too small, gets stonewalled by NFL-level tackles here and there, and it just looks ineffective, rather, at certain times. However, once he puts on some weight, I do expect him to take the next step forward. But the problem is, man, I mean, I would be totally fine with that and waiting for that production if we were the Carolina Panthers, right? Or if we were the New York Jets, or if we were the Atlanta Falcons, right? One of these teams who have not been necessarily the biggest of contenders in recent years. If we were like that, if we were in that mode, then I'd be like, sure, yeah, Mike Green, he's a baby in the league. Let him develop. Let it take its time. Let the egg hatch the way it needs to. But no, the Ravens are totally not in that situation. They're not in that situation. They're locked into win now mode, as a matter of fact. Locked into it. Let me keep going here. But yeah, overall, terrible Thursday night football game. I was extremely disappointed. Let me see. Don in the chat, what's going on, Don? Got Tanya in the chat, what's going on? Appreciate y'all for coming through. Make sure you hit that like button. Hit the like button on the video, guys. It's free. Only takes a second. Also, if you are new here and you are enjoying the content that you are currently consuming, or maybe you've been watching our content for a little while now, or you just never knew, man. I mean, should I subscribe? Should I not subscribe? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, bro. And while you're at it, or sis, and while you're at it, hit that notification bell too. That way you're notified whenever we go live here at PRP. One of our members, Chris, is always teasing me for saying that, oh, Sutton goes live whenever he wants to. If you guys notice, it's normally around 4 p.m. Eastern time that I'll go live outside of our regular Monday, Thursday show days. It's normally around 4 p.m. Eastern time that I go live. So just disclosure there. But make sure, again, you turn on that notification bell so you don't miss anything coming from the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Okay, guys. Okay. Let me get into some of the other things I came here to talk about. Didn't expect to talk at length about that. I didn't. I do want to get into some injury report news, right? So Friday's injury report has come out. Ravens versus Vikings. And I want to share this with you guys. So you guys can see on the screen here for the audio listeners. I will read it out to you. But I'm going to read this. So Baltimore Ravens injury report as of Friday, November 7th, 2025. Marlon Humphrey pops up on the injury report with a finger. And he had a full practice today, though. He practiced in full on Friday. So fully expect him to play. Ronnie Stanley, tackle, did not practice today at all. Had a non-injury related non-practice. He was just basically resting. Just a rest day for Ronnie Stanley. So again, like we said yesterday, the Ravens have basically a complete bill of health going into this Vikings game, which is amazing, phenomenal. I mean, it's so rare that 10 weeks into the season, look at some other teams around the league, just completely just beat up and just decimated from top to bottom, right? Because, I mean, look at the Vikings. The Vikings, I mean, the Vikings injury report looks a lot worse when you just look at it as at a glance. But when you actually start to go through it, it's not too bad, right? Defensive lineman Jonathan Allen, basically getting some rest here, was limited today. Tackle Christian Darrisaw practiced in full today after not practicing at all on Thursday with a knee injury, so I do expect him to be a full go. The right guard Will Fries, dealing with a calf injury right now. He practiced in full the last 2 days. Expect him to be a full go. Fullback CJ Ham is nursing a hand. Ham nursing a hand. Been limited all week except for today. He practiced in full. He should be ready to go. Defensive lineman Javon Hargrave, who had a really good game last week against the Detroit Lions. He had a rest day today too. He was limited. Safety Theo Jackson, who was in concussion protocol, was limited yesterday on Thursday, but he practiced in full today. which is Friday. He's listed as questionable for his game status. I do expect him to play, though. Here's the big one. Running back Aaron Jones Sr. Aaron Jones, who's dealing with a shoulder and a toe. He did not practice on Wednesday. He was limited on Thursday, and he was also limited today, which is Friday. His game status is listed as questionable, but again, I do fully expect to see Aaron Jones out on the field. And Aaron Jones had himself a good game. He had himself a good game last week. I believe he had around maybe like 80-something yards, something like that, averaging like eight yards a carry. Can't allow that. One thing I will say, the Minnesota Vikings do like to run a lot of heavier packages. They'll put a couple of different they'll put two tight ends on the field, much like the Ravens tend to do as well. They'll put two tight ends on the field. They'll run that outside zone right at you. And this Ravens team, they need to, I think early on in this game, sell out, stop the run, right? Sell out, stop the run until Lamar Jackson can give you a cushiony, comfortable lead. You know what I'm saying? Then you go full regalia with the Kyle Hamilton in the box and things like that, and getting after JJ McCarthy. But early in that game, again, at home at US Bank Stadium, that crowd is going to be fired up if we're allowing runs of 7 yards and then 13 yards and then 5 yards. We can't allow that to Aaron Jones, period. There's going to be a big game for the likes of Teddy Buchanan. It's going to be a big game for the likes of Roquan Smith. Tackling is going to have to be very, very sound. Throughout the entire game, you got to play 60 minutes of football, right? But especially in the beginning of that game, I feel like the Vikings game plan is going to be early on. Hey, look, we have to control the clock. That's always the game plan. That's always a key to victory for any team playing the Baltimore Ravens. We have to keep the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands as much as humanly possible. And how do you do that? You run the ball, you waste the clock. So I think you sell out to stop it early. You trust your guys on the back end to not give up anything big on play action. You might see some early play action from this Vikings team just so they can try to throw the Ravens defense off. But that's where you're going to kind of get the coin flip, right? That's where the rubber's really going to meet the road. How do the Ravens respond to the Vikings play action, especially if they start to set up the run pretty decently? So it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a chess match if I've ever seen one. You got Todd Monken's offense versus Brian Flores defense. It's going to be, it's going to be a good one, guys. I can't wait. I personally cannot wait. Zach Orr has yet another opportunity to kind of dig himself out of the trench, the fan trenches that he was in just a couple of weeks ago. Everybody, including myself on a few occasions, saying that, okay, maybe the Ravens should move on from Zach Orr and get somebody a little bit more seasoned, right, at that defensive coordinator position. However, man, I mean, we've seen it's, it's funny. It's funny how, like, the players, and I know this is how it goes, right? The players are supposed to make the coaches look good. But the way that Kyle Hamilton single-handedly has just completely, and I don't want to say single-handedly, but you guys get what I mean. He has completely changed the narrative on Zach Orr. And maybe not completely. Maybe they're like 70% of the way there. I tell you, if they go out this week and they force a couple of turnovers and they hold the Vikings to under, 15 points, I would say. Yeah, Zach Orr, he's going to be right back up there in the talks of, next head coaching candidate, things like that. Guys around the league are going to start calling around. Just saying. But again, it's all because of Kyle Hamilton. Just like Lamar Jackson saved John Harbaugh's job on numerous occasions, Zach Orr has the luxury of having a Kyle Hamilton back there who can do the same for him. Tila says wrap up. Definitely gonna have to wrap up again. Tackling has to be very, very sound in this one. Again, especially early on. I think that the game plan again from the Ravens is going to be, shut down their run, sell out to stop their run, right? Match personnel across. Do not come out there in these kind of light looks, right? And just let them run directly at us with these two tight end sets. Can't have that. We'll get ran up out of US Bank Stadium before you know it. But yeah, tackling is going to be important. It'll be very, very important. Let me see. Spiritual War, one of our members here, appreciate you, says Harbaugh does this to players. He benches them until it frustrates them and they want to leave. He did the same thing to Deontay Johnson, and everyone jumped down his neck, even though the team supported. Agree. So here's the thing that we're going to move on to next. Right? Here's what we got to move on to next, guys. I want to talk about Jaire Alexander, because Jaire Alexander actually spoke up yesterday talking to the Eagles media, because, you know, he's a new Eagle now. He's no longer a Raven. And he had some things to say about why necessarily this Ravens team, why it didn't work out with him. You know, let's go ahead and take a listen to what Jaire had to say. Urban Closer dropping the membership in the chat. What's going on, Urban? Thank you for joining the Rain Gang. Appreciate that. Let me see. All right, so let me bring up Jaire. What did Jaire say? Here we go.
I'm feeling good, really good.
Why do you think in Baltimore things didn't seem to work out in terms of you getting on the field?
Well, I think they just had some guys they wanted to play, some younger guys, but I'm excited about this opportunity here.
So it wasn't a physical thing. You feel like ready to go and get out there?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What do you think you can bring to this, to the secondary?
I'm feeling good, really good.
Yeah. So you guys can hear it there. I mean, like, Jaire Alexander basically just saying, like, they had some young guys that they wanted to get in there. They had some young guys that they wanted to play before me, and it just really makes you think, right? Like, I don't expect look, let me say this. I don't expect this Ravens front office to be perfect, right? I don't. However, I think that a veteran, former Pro Bowl player in Jaire Alexander deserves just a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt than just 1.5 games that he played in this season. I think he deserved just a little bit longer of a leash. Just a little bit longer of a leash, right? But for some reason, he was thrown in the doghouse. They threw him in the doghouse. Can somebody please put down in the chat, tell me why? This man only got not even 2 games to prove himself. And yeah, I get it. In the Bills game in week 1, he did not look good, right? But he was still working his way back from injury. The Ravens put him out there while he was still hurt, when in reality, he probably should have started the season on IR. Right? But instead, and I don't know, and again, I'm not a beat writer. I'm not a guy who's behind the scenes and stuff like that. I'm not a Ravens insider, so I don't know what's going on in practice. There would have to be something that was happening in practice that John Harbaugh just ultimately decided, like, yeah, we're not going to play this guy. Because you can't tell me that Zach Orr was like, yeah, we're not going to play him. I think that this has Harbaugh written all over it. All over it. It's just a shame. It's just a shame. Let me see what you guys are saying here in the chat really quick. Before I move on. Harbaugh likes soft guys. I think Harbaugh just likes guys who are just going to just submit to him. You know what I mean? Pause. Right? But I mean, that's what it is. I mean, we know John Harbaugh is a CEO, my way or the highway type of coach. And a lot of that my way or the highway type of stuff, we don't really see it like in public, but we've heard it, right, from players, from former employees, things like that. So, it's just, I don't get this whole doghouse thing. I don't get not playing your best players. I just don't, which kind of leads into the next topic that I wanted to bring up to you guys. And somebody said in the chat, everybody was getting cooked by the Bills that day. That's true. That's true. However, let me say this. I do want to bring up another position group that you might see some musical chairs. You might see some shuffling here soon. I don't know if it's necessarily soon, but Todd Monken said something very, very interesting the other day. He said something very, very interesting, and I want to go ahead and read it for you guys. I think I have it saved in here. Yeah, I do. Here we go. So Todd Monken was speaking to the Ravens media yesterday about rookie offensive lineman, rookie third-round pick, Emory Jones, right, and his status. And Todd Monken had this to say, and I quote, "Emory Jones is everybody we would hope he would be. He is a Raven. You can see that. He fits here." And he said that Emory Jones has been moving around along the offensive line. Now, what does this mean? This means that, number one, they are testing him out at, I would assume, guard and tackle, right? He played both in college at LSU, I believe, and they want to see where he probably fits best on this offensive line. Now, of course, the elephant in the room here is that we know where he's needed the most on the offensive line, which is going to be either in 72 spot, left guard Andrew Voorhees, or 77 spot, right guard Daniel Falele. But the fact that Todd Monken got up there and said that he's everybody we'd hope he'd be means to me that they might not be too far off from making a change at the offensive line position, at the guard position. Now, what it will take in order for this Ravens coaching staff to really, really say, okay, we're going to pull the trigger on this. We're going to pull Falele. We're going to pull Voorhees. I don't know. I don't know what it would take. And the reason I don't know what it would take is because we've seen terrible games from both of these guys and zero changes. And maybe before they just, didn't have anybody that they could have confidence in being the next man up, right? Obviously, Ben Cleveland is a guy who's perpetually in Harbaugh's doghouse. I'm surprised that Ben Cleveland is not with another team, to be honest with you. And who else am I thinking of? Let me see. Corey Bullock. I just don't know. I just don't know of any other guys that are readily available that this coaching staff would deem as ready to start on that offensive line. It feels like they want to address the offensive line maybe a little bit more in the offseason. Who knows if they actually will? But this news from Todd Monken is encouraging because I've been clamoring for Emory Jones. You've been clamoring for Emory Jones, you guys watching. And I think that there just needs to be a change. Of course, continuity, it would take a little bit more time for the offensive line to gel. If you get an Emory Jones next to Tyler Linderbaum or whatever, Ronnie Stanley, depending on what side he's on. However, I think that's what needs to happen. This what needs to happen. At least keep him waiting in the tuck. At least keep him in the tuck. But yeah, that was encouraging news for me. Very, very encouraging news. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Ashley, appreciate the membership. Appreciate the membership, Ashley. Welcome to the Rain Gang family. You're officially in here. We got a bunch of the members in here today. A lot of members. We got some gifted memberships last night on the show. Appreciate my guy 86 Ghost and Dre. Appreciate Coach Evans last night for sending those memberships. We appreciate you guys for that so much and growing this community here at the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Trying to be available for you guys. Again, D&D, damn near daily, talking about these Baltimore Ravens. Let me see. Don't rush him out there. Get Falele out of here, please. Fit him in the starting lineup. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Tila. I think we got to give him a shot. He deserves a shot. If anybody, he deserves a shot. He's a third-round pick. We talked about third-round picks yesterday, right? Ian Alex, and he did a full audit of Eric DeCosta's third-round pick since he's been the Ravens general manager. Not a whole lot of great names on there. The last staple player that the Ravens have right now that they drafted as a third-round pick was Travis Jones in 2022. It's 2025. Right. So again, these third round picks, they got to start coming around. They got to start producing it. Hopefully Emory Jones is one of those splash third round picks that once he starts, he makes an immediate impact. Right. He's just kind of like a plug and play guy yet. Monty says, is 77 and Voorhees benched yet? Nope. That's what I just got done talking about, Monty. I don't think that they're going to bench them unless something absolutely catastrophic happens. Because again, you can't tell me that we got a super chat donation. Who's dropping the super chat donation? Sean Coles. What's going on, Sean? Dropping the two-piece in the chat. Says, what's up, Sutton? What's going on, Sean? Appreciate you for coming through. Appreciate you. But what was I saying? Yeah, I was saying, like, I just don't see how, again, if you're the Ravens coaching staff, you can go into the film room each and every week, right, and see the types of misses. You can see Daniel Falele falling on the ground, not blocking anybody, right? When you see Andrew Voorhees not being able to hit his assignments, not being able to hold his blocks for more than a second, when you can't run behind an Andrew Voorhees, when you're seeing this stuff on film, if you're the Ravens coaches, at what point do you say, okay, maybe we should try something different? At what point? I just don't know. Let me see. What else did I want to get into on this one? Oh yeah, I did want to show you guys one other thing. I have some fears, right? I have a fear of this Ravens team going out on Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings and getting stuffed, right, on early rundowns, getting stuffed on first and second down, right? Let me actually bring this up on screen for you guys. It's still Jaire. We're not looking at Jaire anymore. But I'm afraid of the Ravens getting put into some third and long situations, and we see some of the same things that we saw back in 2021 when the Ravens played the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football with some of these cover zero blitzes, right? Now, I do have full confidence that a 2025 Lamar Jackson with Todd Monken as his offensive coordinator will be able to beat any blitz. But this Vikings defense is no joke, guys. Their linebackers, no joke. If you see an Eric Wilson or a Blake Cashman coming up the middle, or if Jonathan Grenard's hunting you down, it's going to be tough for Lamar to get away from some of those guys, man. I'm just saying. Andrew Van Ginkel, outside linebacker, is back now. He's healthy. He's playing well. I could see them getting pressure. I mean, we just got done talking about the offensive line and their deficiencies. I could see the Vikings getting pressure, getting us into some 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s. It's going to be super loud in that stadium. They're going to try to force Lamar Jackson to get the ball out extremely quick. And our receivers got to stand up to the task, man. That's what it's going to boil down to. Because Lamar's going to be in some situations where he's got to get that ball out in maybe under a second from him snapping it. So I'm hoping that number one, Todd Monken, has some shorter, quick passing, like quicker developing routes underneath for guys like Zay Flowers, for guys like Isaiah Likely, for guys like Rashad Bateman, even, to catch the football underneath and make something happen, make a play, right? Yards after the catch are going to be big on this one. I think yards after the catch are going to be huge, which is another reason why I think Zay Flowers has a big game. But this is a clip that I wanted to show you guys. This was actually from week 1 of the NFL season. And it's just an example. It's just an example of how good Brian Flores is at disguising his defense, right? Now, what we're looking at here is a bunch of different things. I'm going to let it play out a few times. I'm actually going to let it play out. I'm going to play it on a loop. But you see how the coverages are changing in real time, like literally in seconds. You're going from like a cover 5 to cover 0 fronts, like in just split seconds, right? And the whole idea, and this was against the Bears in week 1 against Caleb Williams, but the whole idea is to confuse the quarterback, get them to go with the football where you want them to go with the football, right? And make a quick tackle. And that's my fear. If the Ravens get behind the sticks, you're going to see a lot of this, a lot of confusion in and around the line of scrimmage, and then also in the secondary, and then back and forth. You're going to see a lot of confusion, and it's going to be super loud. And I could see the Ravens not being very good on third down. because of that. Now, it'll be interesting to see the chess match and see what Todd Monken throws back at Brian Flores when he tries to do things like this on third down. I'm sure there will be guys who are sent in motion, checking to see if they're in man or if they're in a zone, things like that. And Lamar Jackson, of course, is a lot more cerebral of a quarterback than what he was 4 years ago. So I do expect him to beat the blitz. But if it comes to be a shootout, this is my fear, because I think that the Ravens, have had to guess, probably go sub 50% on third downs in this one. So early downs is what I'm saying. Early downs is where you're going to have to get your money if you're the Baltimore Ravens. So what I want to see is, of course, I want to see some Derrick Henry, but at the same time, I need to see some play action as well. Early on, I need to see some play action, get them off their balance, right? Let them know, like, yeah, we're not going to be super duper predictable on when we're throwing Derrick Henry at you. You know, mix in some Keaton Mitchell, show him some different looks, man. Run Lamar Jackson, show him some different looks. That's what it boils down to for me, guys. That's what it boils down to for me. Because Brian Flores is coming with that heat. We do have another super chat donation. I didn't even see this one. I must have missed it. From Spiritual War. Appreciate you, Spiritual War. Dropping the 5-piece in the chat. Says, did you hear John Harbaugh say they don't have to play perfect anymore now that they have Lamar back? Purely disgusting. So no more short, quick pass game, huh? I didn't hear him say that. I did not hear him say that. Let me switch back to the big screen for this one, because I got some things to say. Let me take a little sip of my drink, too. Happy Friday, everybody. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let me read this again. Turn that off. Did you hear John say they don't have to play perfect anymore now that they have Lamar back? Purely disgusting. So no more short, quick passing game, huh? It's so funny that John Harbaugh can literally basically get up on a podium and say in so many words, in coach speak, he says in so many words, like, hey, look, yeah, Lamar Jackson is the only reason I have a job right now. I don't have to be perfect. The rest of my coaches don't have to be perfect. The rest of our players don't have to be perfect. We got 8. We got Lamar Jackson. Period. End of discussion. End of story. That ain't going to cut it. And then, ironically, when the postseason rolls around, Lamar has to literally play perfect. Because everybody else goes into the game thinking like, oh, even the coaching staff, even John Harbaugh goes into the game, playoffs, thinking like, hey, look, we got 8. We got Lamar. Everybody just step back, watch Lamar Jackson work. He's gonna bring us to the promised land, right? It's a team sport. Yeah, there's 10 other guys out there, right? And 11 other guys who got to start on defense. But it's Lamar. We don't have to be perfect. But Lamar has to be perfect, or else the Ravens will lose. And we've seen that. When Lamar Jackson is less than perfect in the playoffs, like he tends to be, the Ravens can't make up the slack. Not the defense. They can't force a turnover. They can't force a big game sack. Right? We don't have running backs who are breaking off huge runs and making game-breaking plays. Pass catchers who are doing the same. We just don't. Offensive line, snaps are going all over left, right, center, over top Lamar Jackson's head. It is disgusting. Spiritual War. It's gross. It's pretty gross. I'm not gonna lie to you. Want us to score on every possession for sure. Let me see something here. Let me make sure I didn't miss any more super chats. Chat be moving sometimes, y'all. No, I didn't. Okay, I'm all caught up on super chats. You guys know I gotta shout out everybody who donates to the show. But yeah, man, that's concerning, to say the least. And again, if you're the national media, or if you're just anybody who watches football and you hear that, you're like, okay, well, what happens when Lamar Jackson retires? Like, Harbaugh, is your plan to, like, retire when Lamar Jackson leaves the Ravens? So you never have to, like, actually construct and build from scratch and build a roster. You know what I mean? Like, is that your plan, Harbs? I mean, look, I'm a Harbaugh guy. I love Harbaugh. I want to see him succeed. But certain things that he says are red fucking flags, bro. That's a red flag. So I'm like, oh yeah, we don't have to be perfect. And I'd love to hear that clip. I'd love to go back and find that clip somewhere, wherever it was, Spiritual War. But it's disgusting. We don't got to be perfect. We got Lamar. We got Lamar. John keeps leaving LJ on his own. Facts. Kyle and Roquan didn't show up against the Bills last season. That's true. Yeah. What else did I have to get into before we get out of here on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports, a Friday edition? Let me see. Last time Brian Flores played against Lamar Jackson, he schemed up cover 0 pre-snap 40 times. 40 times. Those are the dark ages, man, I tell you. Freaking dark ages. But yeah, I think that is going to do it. That's all I had for this episode. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat here before we get out of here. Slicer says, why not use all the talent? Tez, Wester, Keaton, Ali. What the fuck? We need to clean house. See, some of that depth talent, I think there's enough talent on the surface for the Ravens. I mean, before you start talking about guys like Tez, Wester, Keaton, Ali, I mean, you got Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, who was not getting nearly the amount of work that I thought he would be getting coming into the season. I don't understand what's been going on with Rashad Bateman. Sean says, I get that. I just don't understand where you're getting the no short passes part from. I don't know if you're talking to somebody else in the chat or if you're talking to me, Sean. But that's something you just come up when you're on your own. Oh, I guess you guys are going. I don't know. Maybe you guys are talking amongst yourselves in the chat. I don't know. But listen, guys, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get out of here. This has been another episode of Quiet Storm Sports with your host, Sutton Def. You're listening to the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Make sure you leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Shout out to all of our members. Shout out to all of our new members here today. Let me give a shout out to the new members here really quick before we get out of here. Ashley just became a member today on this episode of the show. Appreciate you, Ashley. Shout out to you. Urban Closer also became a member on this episode of the show. Shout out to you as well. Cannot wait to run our next intro video. It'll have everybody's name who was a member at the very top of the show on the intro theme song. So again, appreciate you guys. Love you guys, and enjoy that football game on Sunday. Enjoy your weekend, but Ravens versus Vikings on Sunday. Make sure you have yourself, a nice snack, nice little drinky drink, whatever you do. Kick your feet up. I don't know. Obviously, I would assume you guys aren't going to that game. It's all the way in Minneapolis. But if you are, shout out to you. But if you're not, if you're watching at home, sit back, relax, and don't let these Ravens stress you out, man. Don't let these Ravens stress you out. I know I get up here every day and I say how every game is a playoff game, right? Every game is a must win. But do not let them stress you out, right? Just enjoy some good old Lamar Jackson football. And hopefully we give the Vikings a good old-fashioned ass whooping, right? But that's it from me. Again, this is another episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Make sure you guys like the video and also put it down below in the comment section who you think is going to score an anytime touchdown in this Ravens versus Vikings game. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay positive, test negative, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. My name is Sutton Def. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.